Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to yet another edition of Pan-Africa Life Debate. This is the Pan-Africa Life Debate. It happens here every Friday from 5 to 9. And Pan-Africa Life Debate is an intellectual, non-partisan discussion forum built on the pillars of Pan-Africanism, patriotism, and nationalism, whose ideal of free expression is to revive intellectual discourse among the youth with the bias of reconstructing of Pan-Africanism, patriotism, and spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, on my right, I am joined this evening and very obliged to be seated with a gentleman who has moved this country from left to right, and his actions have actually most of the time spoken louder than words. Frank Gashuba is not a politician. He is not. He's a chairman and founder of the National Action for Awakening Uganda. He thinks that Ugandans are sleeping, so he is the one who took the mantle to awaken you. Gentlemen, Mr. Frank Gashuba, you're welcome. A very big round of applause. I don't know whether the person seated next to him needs any introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, on my right after Mr. Frank Gashuba, Honorable Elias Lukwago-Salo, you are very welcome to this one. Now, Mr. Lord Mayor, tonight's discussion is different. The majority of these people have known you through the political turmoil that you've gone through. But I told them, today we want to look at the other side of Mr. Elias. If he's not in politics, he's not doing illegal in his company, what can you describe him as? And that is the side that we want to take this after this evening. And that is the Pan-Africanism that is in you. Honorable Lord Mayor, worship, the gentleman you see there, Jose Peter Wankulu, is an AU veteran. The gentleman who started the idea of Africa becoming one, Africa uniting and ensuring that we actually form what they call USA, what Gaddafi died trying to struggle for, United States of Africa. Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Wankulu. Now, the topic this evening, Your Lordship, we have seen so many African countries or cities develop, but they have developed with the people, the poor people. They do not leave them behind. And in the biggest circumstances where they realize that these poor people can no longer be accommodated in this certain town or city of this part of the country, the planners have actually opted to go and plan for them another city. They leave you here, they go and plan for another city. If they realize that the plans they did way back, probably they had planned for maybe 30,000 people, and they have not tripled, they can no longer accommodate those people. They leave them here, they go and plan another bigger city that can accommodate each people. Because both the poor people and the rich people belong to that country, and they have equal rights. Take an example. You know that Tanzania shifted its town to where it is right now. They have done that, not because they want to do it, but because they realize it is costly to continue doing what some of our other cities in Africa are doing. It is cheaper to say, let's leave this one and make another city. Now, when you make that other city, it means that you're going to plan properly, based on the audience or based on the people, number of people that you have. A very vivid example is the baby that was crushed the other day. They all bring to one thing, that we are all scrambling with a very small portion of thing in the city, yet we have other bigger areas where we can devote what we want to develop. But the whole issue is, Your Lordship, should the poor in Africa, the West think we are the poor, we are one of the poorest. Actually, we are the poorest. So we are not third world. So those people in that third world, who are the poorest, Should they be kicked out of these cities elected for development? So, Your Lordship, we want to ask, I will begin with Mr. Frank Ashuma. Is it viable that whenever we are planning, the poor should be excluded?
Mr. Moderator Irumba, I've known you for so many years. The Lord Mayor, students here, my colleagues on the left. This is my first time being here. About what's taking place in African cities. The answer is very simple. No one cares for the poor. No one. These are pretenders. When you empower poor people to lead, their first opportunity is to live a good life. Recently I heard it on radio that they are evicting everyone from Chisenyi. No notice. In the developed world, if they transfer people from a certain place to another, they have to give you at least a 2 years notice. And they will even plan where they are going to relocate you. It's not here. Simply because we are being lured by vampires. So this business, if you're poor and you're here, and you think they care about you, it's not there. And what they need first is to make sure that Kwadwo is not there. Because it will stop what they are planning to do. That's why they will do each and everything to make sure that is out of that office. How do you manage people? Keep them poor. Poor people take orders. Poor people line up. Poor people listen. People who are doing well don't listen. It's deliberate to keep them poor, give them brown envelopes. Then they sing for you. Keep them poor, create UPE. Do their kids go to UPE schools? No. Keep them poor. Put up a small structure, pretend that's a hospital, but there is no medication. Do they go to those hospitals? No. When they fall sick, they fly to Nairobi. From Nairobi to Germany. Actually, I'm relying informed. The only place they are fixing in Morocco is the Heart Institute. You know why? When you steal a lot of money, you end up getting those heart diseases. So what they do first, let's fix that institute. By the time we get a flight to a minister, he's in Morocco. So we must stand up and bring back our country. This country belongs to all of us, not a few families. Unfortunately, you the youth here. Now, one of my friends has been poor NRA. And he's proud. Poor NRA. You know why he calls himself poor NRA? No, he's not fighting for you. You saw what happened at KCCA. It has been all over TVs. A baby knocked down. I hear law enforcement officers will not allow the mother to breastfeed. And I hear we have liberators in this country. Even in Ruzira, women's wing, women are allowed to breastfeed their babies. Next, you've not allowed her to breastfeed. Yes, accidents happen. She's knocked down. Not even a pick-up of KCCA was given that baby. Sympathizers just put the baby on a border to Morocco. And she died. From Morocco, not even an ambulance to take the dead body to Masai. When they pick up a truck, and my good friend in Morocco, Jennifer Musisi, stands up to say that we did each and everything in our power. It's a lie. That's why I don't trust Morocco. I don't trust them. Every crime in Uganda here, every autocracy that has taken place in Uganda, there is a Morocco in them. Being born from a poor family is not a crime, but dying poor is a crime. Michael X clearly stated that if you hail from a poor family, you go to poor schools. When you go to poor schools, you are taught by unqualified teachers, you fail. You have to fail exams. When you fail exams, you know what happens?
No.
You get mean-paying jobs. That's a woman. You will end up dating a poor man also. Muzalo mwana mwanangu, your grandparents were poor, your father is poor, your poor, your children are going to be working. Also, there are no systems to allow Ghanaians to excel. I hear we are talking of oil. Oh my God. If they can steal taxpayers' money from Nakawa URA, we don't even know the contract, how it looks like. How many of you have been to URA Nakawa? Have you been there? Huh? That year URA Nakawa, it was also put up by Idi Amin. But do you know the landlady now? If you guys knew what we know, you're happy that you don't know what's going on in this country. And thank God that you don't know. So, God, my brother Irumba, to me, Pan-Africanism doesn't mean putting on a tent. Pan-Africanism means working for the better future of our future grandchildren, which I can't see in this country.
Which this government is bringing, sir?
Pardon?
Which this government is bringing?
This government, if there is hell, they belong to the hottest place in hell. But my message to you as I'm winding up is very simple. You want a better Uganda. When you go back home, have a shower. Oh, you know what I mean? Standing in a dressing mirror alone, not with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, naked without the towel. Ask that person you see in the mirror, what have you done for this country, Uganda? So let me stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frank Bashumba. I fear to repeat his words because, you know, for him, his words are his words. I cannot repeat them. So let me bring the city road mayor, Honorable Elias Ipao. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live in Imbarara.
Thank you, my brother, and your host, fellow panelists, students from Accra and other tertiary institutions, ladies and gentlemen, our brothers from Southern Sudan. Coming to the topic, should we have massive eviction of the poor from the city or from the cities, talking in general terms, at the altar of development, in exchange for development? First and foremost, that topic itself is misleading, I'm sorry to say. It's not your fault, the one who structured it. But it shows exactly the fallacies we are having in our system. Development, in that particular sense, is perceived in a parochial way, in a parochial manner. That's how it is being perceived, like a structural transformation. And this is a dangerous trend. I'm witnessing it here at State Hall. In all these theories, people think development of cities is about erecting skyscrapers, paving roads, building mansions and so on and so forth. Development is a much, much broader subject. You agree with that. One, the attendance, I don't want to go into that. But briefly, if we're talking about sustainable development, structural development is secondary. You start with human resource. In all these plans you see, I'll come to the issue of planning. Little attention is being given. In all these development processes, the so-called development processes, little attention is given to this major component, this vital component of development. You would ask my colleagues, and I'll put this question to my colleagues at Stable and everywhere in this country. Every time the opportunity avails itself. tell me the benchmarks we are using to assess progress or improvement in Kampala. Is it about structural transformation? Is it about paving roads? Is it about putting street lights or whatever, or collection of garbage and so on and so on? Those are routine. Beautification of the city is totally from development of the city. They are totally two different things. The other thing we have to focus on, no, before I take leave of that matter, what is my perception, what is my view, and what is my standing point? And this is one of the point of departure with many of the people at stakeholder in the government. I look at development or transformation of cities in Africa in a much broader sense. And the tragedy we are facing in Africa, we are trying to modernize cities which existed during pre-colonial days. Kampala was not started by colonials. Sometimes you visit East. If you took time off, I would employ you, I would entreat you, please visit my website. You will see the evolution of Kampala. I took time to take a study and prepare a comprehensive report on that. The evolution of Kampala. From the hero of Impala to the present day. How it expanded during colonial days and the independence era. You look at most of these cities, the way they existed. Actually, what the colonialists did here in Africa is to create a dichotomy between administrative and commercial city. Of course, you add the third one, but I wanted to focus much on that dichotomy. Kampala being commercial city and Entebbe being the administrative capital. But of course, you have the industrial capital. That is Ginger. At independence, that was destroyed. So the point I'm making here, today we have lost focus on what we should do in that direction of developing the city. The other thing, listen to this. It's very, very crucial. Exactly in line with this topic. Somebody was talking about the evolution of cities in the Western world. He was talking about Manchester, Liverpool, those cities that were built by the poor and so on and so forth. What is the superstructure today? During the Industrial Revolution, the mode of production at that time, you've talked about freedoms. You've talked about the Industrial Revolution in the Western world. And it was at that time when most of those Western cities were involved. Look at the processes, the evolution processes. What happened? Was it about the eviction of the masses from the urban centers, or it was the reverse? How many of you have studied about the enclosure movements? In Europe, you've studied enclosure movements. What happens? The process of proletarianization is very, very crucial in any development process. It's very, very crucial. The proletarianization process. What happened? Because of the emergence of a particular class which required big tracts of land for modern or commercial agriculture, the poor were driven away from rural areas to go to urban centers to pave the way for commercial agriculture. That's how the Western world, that's how the Western capitals, that's how London developed, Manchester and all these cities. The poor were driven away from rural areas. Not the reverse. So, in this particular case, I see government coming up with programs. I see so many people getting worried that, there is overcrowding in the city. Oh my God. Then we should encourage people to go back to rural areas. What we should be doing, allow me complete this point, my God. What we should be doing is to encourage people to leave rural areas to come to urban cities, to come to urban areas. It's not to drive them away.
And the food they will eat.
I'm talking about development, yes, from a broader perspective.
But the development.
Where the problem is, allow me to explain myself.
Let's just explain this one. If we are all to draw the people from the villages to the urban center, now who will serve them? the people will eat.
As you drive the peasantry away from the best means of production, that is land, in the rural areas, they are supposed to go to the emerging industrial sector to sell labor. But in this case, the industrial sector was killed. All the industries. In the Kampala here, you have an industrial area, for example, where you find radio stations, you find in retail shops, kiosks and whatnot. That's the industrial area you have. Jinja, which used to be the industrial city, is no longer having that status. So that's where we have a tragedy. I wouldn't find any problem the poor living in the villages to come to urban centers as long as they are pull factors here where they can sell labor. Why you see a crisis in Kampala and all urban areas is because the industrial sector was killed. So as I'm giving you political guidance, as I'm doing my work, in whatever forum you go, this is the message I'm leaving with you. On the subject of evictions, go and say, as intellectuals, we are not fools. We are not to be taken for a ride. We want everything in the blueprint. Before you carry out evictions, please, where is the master plan? These people who you are saying are in the road reserve, tell us which one is the industrial area, no, I mean the residential area. What is the neighborhood planning? I'm winding up and I'm giving you this message. Please demand for a plan, and that is all. I thank you. I thank you.
Mr.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. My question is, we are seeing people who are redundant in this city and they are not producing as expected of them. Don't you think, and actually they have where they come from, villages, and most of them are the youth, and most of them are educated workforce. Don't you think that they can go back to the villages and produce for the nation?
Now that is a very good, excellent question. Let's have the microphone back to the Lord Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned to Pan African debate. You are coming live from Fairway Hotel.
I'll be very brief in the interest of time because, sure, as I said, I don't want to be seen in that perspective. During industrial revolution in Europe, at least there were opportunities. People being driven away from their smaller enclaves. What Karl Marx termed as the best means of production to towns to sell labor. Why in Europe they used the force to do that? People were reluctant to go and sell labor, and they have forced them to go into that process. Here, and there were pull factors. The state intervention would be in the form of the push factors, but the pull factors were there. Here in Uganda, they drive to push people back to rural areas for agriculture. There are no pull factors there in the agricultural sector. Unlike during the Industrial Revolution in Europe, where they had the pull factors in the form of industries, here there are no pull factors. So you push people away from Kampala, from all the towns, to go to rural areas. The first thing, you will find a handy hoe. I want you quick. You get a handy hoe. Go. Start to call in man. You don't know what it means. If agriculture was commercialized, that would be a different case. So there are no pull factors in the rural areas. That's why you see the youths of today are selling their father's land to come and go into border business. They come into the informal sector here. Because there are no pull factors there. Why am I insisting on that? Not only commercial agriculture, but also subsidies. If you visited Wisconsin, I had the opportunity of visiting most of the states in America. I went to the most agricultural state in the USA, that is Wisconsin. Even with those big time farmers I've got subsidies from the state. How many farmers here get subsidies?
None.
So how are you going to entice people to go to rural areas where there are no subsidies? The market for the agricultural produce. How much is a kilo of maize? You know it? 300. That means a sack of 100 kilograms is what? 30,000. That is a special hire from here to Makerere University. And the man, the border guy here in Kampala, one route from here, if you jump to the border here to go to Bonamaya, how much would that guy charge you? 10,000. Those are 10. Oh my God. So this is the point I'm making. However much you whip these people, unless you kill them, they will not go to the villages. Why waste your time? They will not go. I'm telling you. A private sector driven development. You don't know where you're taking this country, I'm telling you. Private sector driven development. Just tell me a success story where there has been 100% liberalization. Even the Asian tigers you're talking about, is it 100% like it is here? You have telecommunication companies here where the state has no stake at all. The banking sector, Southern Sudan, you will tell us. KCB, for example, is extending its tentacles to Southern Sudan. KCB is here. This is owned by Kenyans. Now, which commercial entity do we own as Ugandans here? Which is going to act as an engine of development? So, let me tell you, these are all matters of macro policy issues that will engender order in the city. As long as the economy is messed up, you will not have trade order in Kampala, I can assure you. That's why you find people in the informal sector, the Madina Namtelis of this world. You know that woman who lost the baby. She was arrested defending oranges. She had oranges at Bogoya, and it was, I think I asked her a capital because I was there at home yesterday and the other day, and she told me she had a capital of 30,000. And now the question I was asking, yes, you have gone to the executive director, now they have said, okay, we are sold and what not. But I told these people, Jennifer, she was hugging Madina yesterday. They said, Madina emerged out of the prison the other day when her kid died. If she committed an offense of trading on the streets, even if you lost your kid, it doesn't absolve you of the criminal liability. So Jennifer, you are hugging a criminal. So I'm not so sure after the burial whether Madina will go back to the street today or she will go back to the prison. So do you expect Madina, after killing her baby, to say, Havana, Kampala, no. She will stay here. There are no poor factors in rural areas. That's why I will not waste my time as a Pan-Africanist. Mzee Kajaba Kukarusoke is here. I've read your literature. I admire you so much. I respect you. But Pan-Africanism presupposes developing Africans, empowering them to ensure that they can transform the economy. But these mechanical methods of driving them from one end to another without without proper planning, without social security mechanism, that one is bound to fail. It's foolhardy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my Lord Mayor of Kampala. Lord Mayor, thank you so much for honoring this debate. You have added a lot of value to this debate. Thank you so much personally. Whether Professor Kwadwo, a lecturer from Jangwan's National Leadership Institute, is ready for the mantle after the Lord Mayor has actually exonerated almost everything. Before you go, Mr. Frank, we shall give 5 minutes to Professor Kwadwo.
Professor?
Yes, at least 5 minutes. Sit there. Professor Kwadwo is a lecturer at Jangwan's National Leadership Institute, and he has been here with us since we began this debate. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much, Comrade Chairman. You see, what matters in life is philosophy. Either you're a philosopher to become a king, or a king becomes a philosopher. Without philosophy, you qualify directly as a fulminating demagogue.
Professor, you started abusing. Okay, but today we are dealing with the roadmap.
I'm trying to liberate, you see. Without philosophy, there's not anybody who can be liberated. Otherwise, some people are victims of fantasy instead of reason. You see. And it's not their fault. It's how they've been brought up by certain economic systems. And there's nothing in the world that can determine a being which is either human or human outside an economic system. There are not such things as human or human relations outside property relations and labor relations. Who works, who doesn't, that's relation. Who owns the land, who doesn't. Who owns means of production on the land, who doesn't. Those are human relations universal. Human and human relations universal. Whoever does not pay attention to which type of economic system should be applied to determine ethics is a mere fulminating demagogue. Now for Uganda, what sort of economic system are you using? In history we have known 5 systems. The 6th is not yet. 1, primitive society on the basis of the Jains. 2, slave-owning society. 3, feudal society. 4, capital society. 5, socialist society, which disintegrated in the former Soviet Union, but which is still being used in China, North Korea, and Cuba. The 6th, which is expected, but at least anticipated by those who are building its lower phase, is known as communism. It has not yet existed in the world. You see, and you can hear some non-scholars, fulminating demagogues, that the fall of Berlin Wall was the fall of communism in East Germany. And you see, there has never been communism in East Germany. There has never been communism in the Soviet Union. But they say the disintegration of communist parties falling out of power in Eastern Europe means the fall of communism. When there was not anything like an economic system of communism in Eastern Europe. No demagogues talk like that. Communism has fallen. Well, there was nothing. There could be nothing which was there. There's nothing that can fall which is not there. You see, what falls is there. But when it is not there, there's nothing falling. So that's because some people have not studied economic systems and their laws. And that's not their fault. The level of education which is really lacking on the globe, that you find a man like Obama is a lawyer, a trained lawyer, but not an educated lawyer. Yes, because the whole United States, together with Western Europe, the entire leadership in those countries is just trained, but not educated. There is not any lead in the United States or Western Europe who is educated. They're not there. You can even hear some quacks here saying, but even in the United States, democracy is like this. There is no democracy in the United States. Those are quacks, charlatans. What you need is an economic system, and as a ruling party, is ethics. How do you gain it? You must develop 3 sectors. 1, state sector, either industrial state sector or farmers state sector, both in agriculture and animal husbandry, state sectors, to be run by well-qualified, morally qualified cadres to run them and answer back to the people. This should be people's state sectors by the state, run by a people's party on behalf of the people and for the people. That may not be enough. You may find the state itself may not be capable of running sectors. You need cooperatives which are also not state sectors, farmers cooperatives, which are not necessarily state sectors. Number 3, you need private enterprise where you need it, but under the guidance of the moral standards of the party which is in power. When you are a capitalist, you are allowed to invest, but the profits you get will be taxed to the extent that they should tax. Those profits will go down to the welfare of you people for education, for roads, and other things for welfare. You see? So I would say, please pay attention as to how we own wealth. And I would say, land should belong to the state, and marital land should be abolished.
Thank you so much, Professor Adego. I don't know where I should begin from. Thank you so much. Let's make the microphone to the... You will come finally. You will come later on. Get the microphone to AI, a proud NRM poor youth coordinator.
I want you to picture this other side. We are saying, should the poor be driven out of the cities to pave way for development? We have actually not looked at the other side of the poor being driven from the rural areas. And I don't mean the other point of the enclosures in Europe where the poor were driven from the rural areas for systematic purposes. I'm talking about the Ugandan situation where a few rich people are chasing the poor from the villages and they are forcing them into the cities, and only to reach the cities, and they are also being chased by the very same people who chased them from villages. Now, you find that you become what the Waganda say, ofuke momboze munsiyo. Now, I would like to urge all of us who are here. Mr. Moderator, I actually intended to leave the city and go back to Kanungu and try to see if I can better my life there, but from the submissions of today, I'm actually going to Kanungu to organize all the youth to come to Kampala. Yes, those of us who are in Kampala, we should say, the tuja kuva Kampala tugani. Because, one, those rich men who are trying to drive us from Kampala so that they can enjoy driving their Mercedes and their Hammers in the city should go and invest that money in the villages where they have chased us. And they have fenced off all the land, and they are expecting us. I don't know where they want us to go. I don't know if they want us to migrate and start staying in the lake like fish. But let us tell them that for us, we are not leaving Kampala. If at your discretion, Mrs. Jennifer Musi, you think that the poor should leave Kampala, then you are mistaken.
Okay, on that, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Ian, let me have Mzee Peter Wangulu. 2 minutes, Mzee Peter. You need to raise your hand and clearly say what you want to say. Yes, Mzee Peter. Let's use 2 minutes, Mzee Peter.
Thank you very much for giving me this chance. Yes. The topic, I think most of you have heard me many times come here to tell you exactly what we must do. And why I had to convince the whole continent to start that organization. It was the system of education which I was receiving at that time. Up to now, there is no change. We talk a lot, we talk sweet, and so on, but it is too much merely bookish. It is theoretical. We are not doing things into real action that can get Africa out of its backwardness. Right from simple things like a septic bin for giggles, a toothpick, a mosquito coil is important. But if you say people must go back to the villages, and so to do what then? They must be productive. They must do something and follow what the whites do.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Mzee Peter. We are short of time. Mr. Peter, we want you at least you belong to the media. You know how we use 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Tapu Ogwa, not Peter Ogwa. A lot has been said, and we will was sense in everything that was said. So, since I have 2 minutes, I will just talk about a few things. I'll start with poverty, because as we speak, we all have different perspectives and definitions when it comes to poverty. If you found me on the street and ask me what poverty is, maybe I'll tell you I didn't have my meals for the last 2 days, so I'm poor. There was a gentleman in Kenya who was asked what poverty was, and he said, look at my house, look at the holes in my saucepans, look at my broken utensils, that is poverty. So, how are we defining poverty, and which group of poor people are we trying to talk to here? You see, when you talk about development, it's a multi-dimensional subject. It's so wide. I did development studies. So, development has many wings. What are we talking about when we say development? We want development. Which kind of development do we want in the country? You see? And if we're talking about sustainable development, then we cannot look at that without looking at human development. And all this is connected to the system of economy that we have in the country, you see. So, let's stop confusing ourselves. We have to first go down to the grassroots and see where the problem is coming from exactly. So if you say you want to chase people back to villages, yet human beings, human resource, is both the means and the end to development, then I don't know what you're doing. You're looking at economic development, which is only the means to development, and you're doing away with the means that is coming to the end of development. So you're confusing the whole thing. You see? So before we do that, understand which kind of development do I want for my country. And they cannot be any reasonable development if it's not sustainable. And they cannot be sustainable development if the human beings, the means to development, are left out. See? Don't push people away from where the opportunities are and you think you're bringing development into the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you very much, comrades. I'm Sir Pepper Julius Serunjoji from Accra University, Kibale District. Yeah, today I'm very disappointed with some people. Mostly...
Every time you are disappointed, every
Yeah, I'm very disappointed really today.
Oh.
Mostly with the president of the poor. The course I'm doing mostly it concerns with the poor. I do social work and social development.
Okay, fine.
Let me inform you that a poor person must be having needs as an individual. For someone to qualify to be poor, you must be having what we call a need. You can't be poor without needs.
So that means everyone is...
Point of information.
No, the what we call best
That's all we agreed, Mr. Julius. Point of information, Madam Aida, Councillor.
Literally what the speaker is saying, that every poor person has a need, literally meaning everyone
is poor, right?
No, basic needs. Basic needs of life.
Everyone needs the basic needs of life.
Right.
It's an automatic issue.
Right.
Let it be the rich, let it be the poor. Yeah. But the rate at which we satisfy the needs differs. Just as you say, they are the best consumer. In economics, there are ways of making profit. You either maximize sales or you heighten the prices. The poor in Kampala are maximizing the rich are maximizing their sales from the what? From the poor, because they buy most from them. Yeah. She brought up a very nice point of coexistence.
He.
She did. Just imagine a plaza in Kampala where there is no one who is going to rent in that plaza. Because most of those people in those plazas are poor people. You find 5 people in one room. Why are they in one room? Because they are managing to pay 250 to sustain for rent. And when you add up the 5, that makes it like 1.25 to make it a total of what?
Of what they want.
That they want. So if you chase out those innocent and poor Ugandans, then you are literally making this man who invested in the plaza poor.
Yeah. Okay, that's a very good point at which we have to argue.
Let me tell you,
thank you so much.
Someone who owns a plaza countries.
Let's not argue about her point. Finish your point.
Oh, okay, let me finish.
Because you will want
the advice I'm giving, the way forward I'm giving is, let us not chase the poor in the city, but let us reduce on the number of poor people who are entering the city.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Pan-African debate, a debate that you need to join and actually champion those interests that you love to see in your Africa. My name is Irumba, and I'm saying out. Thank you so much.